I can see. But anyway, to shift on to a different note here, scratchies. We released the documents earlier this week. Everyone was extremely excited about it. And I think a lot of people want you to maybe talk a little bit more in depth about just the scratch ticket protocol in general.
Yeah, and let me talk about, I want to talk a little bit about why Scratchy is so bullish for Drip and Animal Farm. And this is, as people know, right? I had someone ask, so is the tickets that are sold on platforms that are not Animal Farm and not Drip sending capital directly to Animal Farm and Drip? And this is something that I realized may not be super obvious to people when he asked this, and it's something that I want to talk about because it's important. So, with Scratchy, it's a complete white label service, and that means when someone utilizes our protocol, the Scratchy platform or the Scratch tickets, the Scratch ticket model is hosted on their site. And as far as anybody knows, when they go on their site, it looks like their project. So they buy the tickets on their site. The tickets have their theming. Say they're like penguin coin or something. The tickets will have penguins and snowballs and that whole theme for them. The 15%, or let's say up to 15% because it's negotiable, but up to 15% of all the B&B used to buy tickets on their platform goes to buying their native asset. So if it was penguin coin, it goes to buying penguin coin. Now, the developers who are hosting the service, they're in full control what happens to those penguin coins that the protocol buys. And it's up to them. They could take it as a payment. So they could, it could be another income stream for the developers. Now, would that be smart for them to take it all as a payment stream? I would say no. And I don't think many developers will do that. What most likely will happen is they'll take 1 or 2% as a payment for them, which is their incentive to host the service, one of their incentives to host the service, but they can use the other, 12, 13% to create a new staking protocol that pays out their tokens over time, which is coming from the buyback mechanism of our Scratchy protocol. They could burn them, so it's buying and burning hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of their assets every week. They can use it as some other form of reward structure. There's a ton that they can do with it. So it's very attractive for them to host the model. And as far as the average user that's exposed to their model on their site is concerned, it's their project. Now, and it has their own treasury as well, meaning 10% of all the B&B, which is used to buy tickets on their site, it goes into their treasury. So their project has their own treasury. Now, that treasury goes towards the jackpot. So a percentage of the treasury goes towards their jackpot. And what this means is every batch sold increases the jackpot for each batch. Now, since each platform will have its own jackpot, that means some platforms will have larger jackpots than others. Now, the revenue sharing model, so 10% or more, and the reason why it's up to 15% and 10% or more is this is negotiable and it depends on their model, but capital which is not going towards buybacks or revenue for the developers who host it will be going to increasing the revenue sharing in the staking model. But at least 10% of the BNB used to buy tickets on each platform goes towards one revenue sharing staking pool. And this revenue sharing staking pool is on the Scratchy website. So that means no matter what platform you buy tickets on, when you stake those tickets, you're getting a share revenue of all the platforms. At least 10% of all the BNB used to buy tickets on every platform every day. Now, so the average user is going to be interacting with the platform in two ways. Going to be you buying the tickets off the platform, and as far as they're concerned, it's their own tickets, and they are providing the tickets by using Scratchy's protocol and staking into the revenue sharing model. But there will be some more intelligent investors, because there always are, that will do the research and say, hey, where can I buy these tickets? Especially, right? This is especially for the investors that are more concerned with getting with revenue sharing. They're going to look at the overall ecosystem of Scratchy and say, okay, it doesn't matter where I buy tickets. Either way, if I stake them, I'll get a revenue share. So I should probably be buying the tickets on the platform with the largest Jackpot treasury. And whatever platform has the largest Jackpot treasury, that platform will have the largest jackpots. Now, the lower tier prizes will be the same across platform, but the jackpots will be different. So there'll be some percentage of buyers who are going to want to get, who are going to figure out, I should be buying wherever the largest jackpot is. Now, Animal Farm and Drip are going to have a head start. They're going to be the first protocols that we host the service on, and that means, at least at first, and most likely in the future, but not necessarily the future, but at least at first, they will have the largest treasury. So, as people get exposed to Scratchy from our white label service, and which is extremely scalable, almost infinitely scalable, and they go back into the revenue sharing pool of Scratchy, and they start doing research of the ecosystem, so it will act as a funnel to bring people into Drip and to bring people into Animal Farm. And when tickets are bought on the Animal Farm or Drip platform, then 15% of that BNB goes to buying Drip and pigs. So not only is it going to be a huge cash flow, a huge new cash flow and utility for Animal Farm and Drip, it's also going to act as a extremely scalable funnel to drive people into Animal Farm and Drip. So when I built Scratchy, the idea was I want to have a product that can service all of DeFi, is essentially infinitely scalable, has a very strong fundamental use case, is built using a model that we know works, that we know is successful, the scratch ticket model, and I wanted to drive traffic to our own native assets and our primary platforms. And there's nothing like Scratchy to do that. There's nothing in DeFi like Scratchy to do that. So it's going to be massive for Drip and Animal Farm. Not just at first, but as the project scales, there's going to be some percentage of all the buyers that get exposure to Scratchy on other platforms that migrate over to Drip and Animal Farm because most likely that's where the largest jackpots will be, because we're getting a head start there. Now, if there's another platform that ends up selling more tickets, they will have the larger treasury, which is great, because that means they took our model and they're taking it to the next level, which means a greater revenue share for all of the people that are buying Scratchy on any platform, including Drip and Animal Farm. So Drip and Animal Farm have a nice head start, which will act as a funnel to drive people in there, but also it's extremely attractive to any platform because it's a model that will drive a ton of cash into their assets. And then it's not just a model that can work with DeFi platform. So if there's a platform that doesn't have a native asset, say an online casino, or say you're an influencer. Now, I've been doing a lot of networking, behind the scenes with some people that are very much tied into the gambling YouTube influencer space. Essentially, people that stream on Twitch and stream on YouTube, then playing different, casino games and stuff like this. It will allow these influencers, and essentially anybody who has the drive and what it takes to start a brand, it will allow them to start their own brand of scratch tickets using Scratchy as the backbone for their protocol. It gives them the infrastructure to easily do it, and they can start their own brand. And what the the capital, the 15% of BNB that would typically be going to buying the native asset on a DeFi platform, instead becomes a revenue stream for influencers or businessmen or businesswomen who want to start their own brand of scratch ticket protocols. And this is another reason why it's negotiable, because it's going to be a case-by-case basis what percentage gets used as a revenue stream for them. But it's extremely attractive because they can earn up to 15% of all the BNB used to buy tickets from their scratch ticket brand. And one of the reasons why we can do that is because we're using a model that is based off the traditional scratch ticket model. Now, with the traditional scratch ticket model, about 60% of all the capital that goes to buying tickets goes towards state taxes and to the state, essentially, and administration fees. And since this is DeFi, those administration fees, instead of going to just politicians and pencil pushers, is going to the clients and the people who are the users of the system. And then the capital that would otherwise be going to the state, essentially, can be used to do buybacks of the native assets as a revenue stream for the developers, and to increase the prizes so we can have larger prizes than the traditional model, but still be equally or even more sustainable than the traditional model, because we have the distribution of capital that's going to prizes is essentially the same as the traditional model, but then capital that would otherwise be going to the state or to administration can bump up the jackpot and go towards cash flows to the hosters and revenue sharing. So the beauty of the traditional scratch ticket model is for each batch that's sold, you know how many winners there's going to be. You know what the prize sizes are going to be. All of that is baked in. So you know it's going to be, as long as the tickets sell, you know it's profitable. And you know it's sustainable. Now, we kind of took it to the next level, which can only be done through the power of DeFi, and made it scalable. So 100% of the tickets for each batch don't even need to be sold for the system to be functional. In fact, only 10% of the tickets need to be sold on each batch for the system to be functional. So the and also it has instant, essentially a form of instant gratification in the sense that when you buy a ticket, you can instantly scratch it. You can instantly see what your prize is. You can decide you want to claim that prize, buy a couple of new tickets. You can decide, hey, the prize is only, I only won my money back. I don't even care about getting my money back. I want to stake this ticket to increase my share of the revenue. It's immediate, which is not like any other lottery system, like the Pancake Swap lottery, all of these where you have to wait essentially 24 hours. And then there's only one winner. Where in our case, you buy a ticket, you immediately scratch it, you immediately find out if you're a winner or not. 1 in 3 tickets is a winner. Ever increasing jackpots. Using Chainlink's VRF service to be verifiably random and trustless. There's nothing like it in DeFi or in crypto. Chainlink was blown away by it when we had a demo for them last week because Chainlink came to me and said that they wanted a partnership with one of our projects. And I told them that we don't really have something right now that can utilize Chainlink in a way that justifies a partnership. And I think they were kind of impressed by that because there's a lot of people that would say, hey, Chainlink, you want a partnership? Let's do it. We'll just make some random nonsense or just use your pricing oracle, something that doesn't even make sense just for the partnership. Where I told them, let me build something that is using your products to their, their optimal potential in a way that no one else is using them. And this way, when we announce a partnership, this is something that you can be proud of. This is something that you can show off and say, look how they're using the Chainlink VRF service. This is, it's extremely innovative, and you can only do this with Chainlink kind of thing. So very bullish for them. And when they saw our demo, they were very, very impressed. And I have a follow-up meeting with them next week to discuss terms. So last week it was a demo, and we didn't even go into the terms of the partnership or anything. But they were, they at the end of the meeting, they were like, all right, next week we'll meet up, we'll discuss how we're going to partner, we'll discuss, how we're going to co-promote, all that stuff. So they're already on board, but there's a few things that I'm going to essentially ask from them to really solidify the partnership. So it's more than just a co-promotion. There's some other things that they can do for us that really will signal to the market that they're fully behind us. And, from talking to them, they're fully on board with it. So, Scratchy it's amazing. And let me say one more thing, because I could keep going on, but just to talk about a little bit of the innovation. So with Scratchy, there's a form of theta for staking that ensures that the revenue sharing staking pool does not become diluted over time. So if you're scaling, meaning you're bringing on new platforms, that's increasing the amount of BNB going to the revenue sharing pool. But if tickets are being sold every day, and a bunch of tickets are going into the pool every day, that's diluting the staking pool, which is essentially diluting the amount of BNB revenue sharing that's going to each ticket that's staked. So we came up with a model that addresses this and ensures that it's always attractive for new capital to come in by putting a form of theta decay on a ticket similar to an options contract. And the way it works is when you buy a ticket, there's a multiplier associated with the ticket and an amount of time that ticket can earn. And it's displayed right on the ticket. So you can see it when you look at the ticket on the front end. Now, each month, the multiplier reduces, and every day, the timer on the ticket ticks down. And because of this, every day, or essentially constantly, the platform needs to look at whose tickets need to be updated on that day. So the multiplier is being reduced every month, but since there's new buyers every day and throughout the day, that means everybody will be hitting their new month time differently. You know, I buy today, in 30 days, it'll be the end of my month. You buy tomorrow, then in 31 days, it'll be your time. So that means constantly we need to be looking at who needs to have their the state of their stake updated. And previously, if you look at what people are using, right, what before we made our innovation, this couldn't be done. And the reason why it couldn't be done is because if you're having to update the state of every staker constantly, it becomes very expensive because essentially updating values on a contract, you need to write that to the block. And whenever you're writing something to the block, it costs money. And when you have a bunch of stakers and you're writing info to the block, every single time you need to update a stake, which needs to happen all day constantly, it gets to the point where it would cost, you know, hundreds or thousands of dollars every time someone wanted to interact with the contract, and then get to the point where it can't even write the info to the block because it's too much info to even fit on one block, because there's limits of data you can write to each block in on any blockchain network. So we needed to come up with a solution for this, and we did. Now, this solution does not just apply to a scratch ticket model. It applies to any model where you need to be constantly updating the state of a staking contract that has essentially an infinitely large amount of users. And the way that we did it was by using a indexing model that we are essentially bringing to DeFi for the first time. Right? It's a major innovation. And the way it works is when someone buys from a specific batch, their state, and when they stake, their state of their stake goes into a specific index for that day. And then when the contract needs to update, it looks at who was the person to be updated, the longest time ago. Who has been in the contract the longest without having their state updated. And then it updates that person's stake, and it cycles through their index. And this ensures that the people that need to have their state updated on that day get their state updated on that day without needing to go through all of the states of all the stakers and update all of them every day. And it's even more so than every day, because if you want to have it decentralized, then that means you need to have the users calling the function to update the state. And you can do that by having it so when they do any other function, like a deposit or a claim or withdrawal, it updates the state. But if you're going to have it every time someone is doing a function to update the state, it going through all of the stakes, it's not going to work. Right? It's going to be too expensive. It's going to eventually fail because it's going to be too large. So you would need to use a centralized oracle to update the states and do it, say, once a day. But with our model, how we've developed it, which is a major innovation in time-related staking contracts, it's completely decentralized. The users are who are calling the function to update the states of the users, and it's using a innovative new indexing model to ensure that they're only needing to update the state of a very small, limited amount of people. Essentially, only the people that staked from one batch, and then the amount of people that are staking on one batch is probably going to be about 40% of the buy from that batch. So it's going to cost a couple cents, right? So this is the kind of innovation we're bringing to the space, where it's not just, we're the first people to build a scratch ticket protocol, which is amazing, right? That's going to be a big deal. But also,